Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello, Didi. How's it going?
Things are awesome. Bruins again winning, thumping another team. Things are looking back to normal.
Well, that's the good thing about sports in New England.
Yes.
One team is winning, while the
Yes.
others.
Well, the other, we'll not talk about that. Especially not talk the Sox, who suck. So, but this
It
week,
was Valentine's.
it was Valentine's Day
Valentine's Day, the
And-
Hallmark invented.
holiday. By the way, we have ourselves ran a survey for the show.
Yeah.
If anybody wants a Valentine's Day themed show.
And people voted.
A
They
lot of
wanted us to run a Valentine's theme.
Exactly.
show.
They wanted us to write.
They don't know us.
They
Whomever voted
no.
just don't know. We're the most
options.
unromantic couple on earth.
Yes.
Seriously.
So, but look, we're matching.
We're matching.
We're matching.
We find a T-shirt that both of us own, and we
Yes.
matched.
Yes, and also it's an important thing because I proposed to you. Well, you proposed to yourself in Club Med.
You want to tell a story? Oh my God! You're
We
going to
should.
share that?
Maybe. I'd leave it up to you. Should we? Of course we should.
I mean,
yeah.
if it's going to be then searchable on the internet, let's do it.
Exactly. So, date number 2, Lital and I are in a nice Japanese restaurant, and I tell her, listen, from here, it's all downhill. It's all...
You know everything you need to know. It's going to be worse.
Exactly.
So let's get married. And
Exactly.
I thought this guy was just kidding because otherwise I would run away.
Both.
Maybe I should have ran away. I didn't, but I was sure it was just a joke.
It wasn't. And then she moved in.
He is determined.
Yes, and resilient. The current theme is resilient. Then she moved in because I had the better parking spot in Tel Aviv, which is an important thing. Parking in Tel Aviv, for those who don't know.
Like after third date, he started, listen, either you move to my place or to your place because we don't have the same parking badge. So I cannot park near your home. And if I stay over, I need to move the car in the morning and I'm not waking up that early. So fast forward, he's like, we need to move.
Yes.
And he's persistent and nagging. So
That's why
we
I
moved
built a
in.
Negbot in Ort.
Yeah, you were like a bot.
Exactly.
Only if there were chat bots at the time, you would have been like those nagging bots. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you bought yourself a ring because I forgot my wallet when we were traveling to Club Med to propose.
Yeah. So Didi wants to make sure whatever he does is like bulletproof. So before we went on our first ski trip together while dating, he told me, I'm going to propose. I'm going to propose in this trip. And here is a catalog with rings. Please pick up what you like, because no way I'm going to pick up something to your liking, and I don't want to be wrong about it. So there he goes. I look at it. I kind of like, is he joking? Is he like, I'm never sure about this guy.
Not joking.
Not joking. He never jokes. That's the thing.
Oh,
He
I
jokes
joke a
about
lot.
other things, not
Yes.
about relationship. Next thing, we are at the airport at the jewelry store, the duty-free one, because he wanted to save the tax.
You want to save the tax.
Maybe. Did I
Yes.
say let's do it in the
Yes,
airport,
yes,
in the
yes.
tax-free store?
I didn't
I'm
realize
cheap.
that. Yes.
I'm cheap on myself. And he's like, okay, we picked the damn ring. And then he's like, I think I didn't take my wallet.
Yeah.
I only took my passport. I don't even have credit card. I left it at home.
There were no credit cards. You forget. A long time ago.
No, there were credit cards.
Yeah, but you
Dude,
couldn't-
it's in the 90s. What are you talking about?
But you couldn't travel with them like. we do
Yes, you
today.
could. You
Okay.
just knew that we're going to an all-inclusive
Yeah, that's
location. We already prepaid, so like you could leave without going.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I'm like at the cashier, like, what are we doing? Okay, I'm dropping this ring. And he's, you see the guy, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna pay for my own ring.
Yep.
So my engagement ring, I paid, and of course, he thought I'm gonna give it to him and like let him do his thing, but I paid for something, so it went immediately on my ring finger, and that's it.
And since then,
Since then, we're together. So the most non-romantic
romantic
relationship.
proposal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I proposed to myself, bought myself a ring.
Exactly.
Independent woman. Girls, you do it. Just
I'm
put a ring on it.
Put a ring on
Beyonce.
it. Exactly.
Let's get to business.
Let's get to business.
So the fun of Valentine's is that you can make fun of it. I mean, it's so cheesy and stuff. So I think both our companies, and you wanted to talk about a few launches, both our companies, we did some good campaigns this week. My company, Hunters, which is a sponsor of this show, so thanks, Hunters. Love you. Part of the Valentine's message. So we did a show of breaking up with SIM. If you're wondering, Hunters, we kind of like helping companies move from the most hated part of the security stack, SIM. It's legacy. It doesn't scale with data. Cost is unpredictable and it's painful. And the problem is that you need to invest so much time and effort of your team to build rules, to maintain the rules. And then so much noise is coming. So people need to triage the alerts and then go and figure out. It's a time sunk, basically. So much pain is going into SIM and maintaining SIM. So we just did a campaign of a breakup with SIM, and companies can move on with Hunters if you're interested. We have a free tool. Just go check it out. You don't need to sign up. You don't need to put your email, and nobody will call you. So I just say, if you're hating your SIM, or if you're okay with it, also if you like it, and you just think, oh, I might be able to do better, I think it's time you check Hunters. So obviously, I'm being paid, but I do think, and we've seen customers, Fortune 50 companies that move beyond the SIM with Hunters. So go check it out, hunters.ai, free tool. Nobody will follow up. No SDR will call you unless you ask us to. So check it out.
Yep.
Nothing to lose.
By the way, speaking of breaking up with your SIM, one of the most interesting themes of our last week or so, as Ort kind of the other company that funds this podcast. The interesting thing is, as we kind of go along with our implementations, people say, can you write to our SIMs? And I say, what do you want us to write there? And then they say, we don't know, something. And I
Send it to a SIM. Send it.
Send it.
Right? There is a
I
thing.
said, why? And the conversation gets stuck because we built already an integration.
Because there is a belief that everything, it's the panacea, right?
Yes, we built an integration for both Sentinel and Splunk. You know how many of our customers implement it? Zip. Because once you actually go to that thing, somebody says, but it's going to cost us, right?
Oh, of course, you're adding data.
You're adding data. So, no.
That's the model of the SIM.
Exactly. Let's think through this. And then I say, don't you actually want to talk to your users rather than to your SIM? And who will actually take action about this? Who will do something about this? We are going to alert you that something happened. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. Ooh, we don't know. I said, if you don't have a process around what you want to do in terms of remediation, don't send it there. It's just kind of where messages go to die. And then when you get breached, you can say, oh, yeah.
The SIM alerted me.
Or told us that somebody clicked OK on an MFA flood. But we did nothing. So unless you actually do something with your SIM, think about what you want to do.
The thing is that it's hard because there is so much. And if we are relying on human beings that are already flooded with alerts.
I'm going to give a plug to Omil.
Great Snowflake bottles. Okay.
Exactly. So think parting SIMs, think Snowflake, data lakes, think new ways of dealing with this.
Yep.
And without any plan, don't just throw... It's a little bit like if you have a really, really big closet. Think of I'm the Marie Kondo, even though she
Yeah, even though she started saying she's not Marie Kondoing it
Yes.
anymore. She's a parent now.
yes, I am very Marie Kondoing everything that relates to data. If you don't,
But you shared closet with me and it kills you, Marie Kondoing.
exactly.
So no Marie Kondoing.
Yes.
The closet is a sim.
The closet is a sim. Our closet is a sim. By the way, I can throw away half the stuff that you don't wear and you will never know.
Of course. Yeah.
So
Same as data.
Same as data.
Well, what was the news of Ort this week?
So on the Ort side, we and Okta, plug Okta, ran a survey around state of identity. What do you know about what's happening in your identity? And because I'm an epidemiologist and I'm a little bit anal about data, we did a little bit of an analysis of expected versus observed. Every time I start a POC with customers, before I plug in Ort into their world, I ask them, how many identities do you have? How many contractors do you have in the system? How many service accounts do you have? What's your MFA coverage? There's a lot of these questions that I don't ask them in a form of a survey because nobody will fill out a survey. So we're discussing how do we implement this into the methodology of the research. But I kind of inadvertently, kind of under the covers, as we chat, as we plug in API keys and do things, I ask these questions. The underestimation of those numbers is overwhelming. The people underestimate the number of identities that they have almost by a factor of 50%. So
50%.
50%. So
They think they have 1,000 and they actually have...
what they do is they
50%.
count head count.
Okay.
They look at their real head count.
Oh, okay.
They look
So
at-
they don't think about the people that left and were never deleted.
They don't think about the people that left it and they never deleted.
Freelancers.
They don't think about freelancers, like everybody that configures
So that
their
can easily
Salesforce.
be even not 50%, can be 10% if it's like...
So big companies, specifically those that are heavy contractor related, underestimate by. So a company that we sold to that has about 3,000 employees had to buy 10,000 identities because almost everybody that they work with is an ephemeral contractor.
Sure.
Also, every system that they have about 1,200 systems. Each one has a service account, never monitored, never tracked. They keep all the users that leave and don't clean them up. And last but not least, it's really easy, really, really, really easy in Slack and in Azure AD that if I want to share with you something, I click on share and you get an invite. How does it work? You're now part of my Azure AD. You're a guest account in my Azure AD. You're not MFA'd. By default, you might belong to a whole bunch of groups that the sharer did not know that you're now sharing. You belong to a whole bunch of channels that you didn't know that you have access to. You might kind of click along and you'll find a whole bunch of channels, public channels that have a whole bunch of, let's call it sensitive information in the company. Because every media group is a channel.
So there is a big awareness gap around
Yes.
the situation of identity. People think they have
Yes.
certain amount and that it's being monitored, but the reality is very far from that.
It's very-
You estimate it about 50%.
50%. Careful
Wrong.
because some of our customers are more DevSecOps and those are usually in better shape. They usually underestimate things like all the people that they put in exception groups for MFA like themselves for testing and they never got them out. They forget all the contractors that they have because the DevSecOps people never remember the contractor that tweens at the Salesforce, which always has like super admin and no MFA and can access all the Salesforce data. So
We have a super admin that was working like early days of the company, and she's still the super admin in Salesforce because that's all the processes were set. So every time we get an alert about an inbound coming in, it's coming from her. Like, hi Noah, if you're listening, you're still in a system, so that needs to be monitored, right?
Yes.
She's already in a great company doing other stuff, but
Yep.
we still have a user
Yep.
in Salesforce.
Exactly.
Is that a risk?
That is a risk.
Why?
So if it's not monitored and not tracked,
She has access to everything because that's
Exactly.
the original super admin
Yeah.
of a Salesforce.
yeah. So probably so unless you mandate that every login has to be either SSO'd or MFA.
It is.
Check for the super admin because most of the times the super admin in Salesforce has to be outside of SSO because that's the break glass account to fix if SSO is broken.
Okay.
And it's usually something that some IT guy keeps as a duct tape somewhere.
Okay, IT, I'm going to reach out and check with you. We want to make sure this is okay. I want my Salesforce to be secured.
Exactly.
Okay, next.
So that's the state of identity. Okta also released something with regards to the state of identity. They
Where can you find those reports if you're interested? Let's plug in.
So I would start with the Okta one is if you're an Okta customer and you haven't got hammered on the head 5 times with that in your email, your LinkedIn. And
You can link it once we publish this episode. We'll put a link.
to the Okta one and to
Yeah.
ours. And ours is on the ORT website.
Okay.
I sent it out.
Cool.
We also, Nico and I had our own little, Nico, our head of PM, that we also need to drag because he has this awesome French accent when we need to drag him over to this show. He and I released this blog post about all the partners and awesome partner ecosystems and showed love to the partner ecosystem that we have because Microsoft included us in their MISA program, which is like a very honorable program for partners. So thanks, Microsoft, for that. And the state of all our relationships with all our partners. We kind of did state of the union with that. And we wouldn't be as successful as we are without our awesome partners.
Same. I think it's a topic we can talk about in one of our future episodes and maybe bring guests. Like the security partner ecosystem is critical, especially for startups. And like both our companies are embedded with everything, basically. But it's so critical because that's what people want to get out of the box. Like they want it to fit into whatever they have in the stack. So,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Definitely.
So that's our plugs for the things that we, our companies did for Valentine's Day.
The Didi and Lital show will return in a moment. The Didi and Lital show is sponsored by ORT. In today's world, identities are the perimeter protecting the organization and are the most exploited vector by attackers. If your security teams are struggling to maintain control of identity management tools, ORT can help. ORT offers a centralized platform for discovering, monitoring, assessing, and remediating identity threats to your business. While most security platforms can take weeks or months to start identifying and remediating risks, with ORT, your security teams can get started in as little as 30 minutes and start securing the identity perimeter immediately. ORT will surface the most critical vulnerabilities and give your security teams the recommended action steps. Start your trial today at ort.io. That's OORT.io. The Didi and Lital show is sponsored by Hunters. Hunters is a SaaS platform purpose-built for security operation teams, providing unlimited data ingestion and normalization at a predictable cost. Hunters helps SOC teams mitigate real threats faster and more reliably than SIEM. Visit hunters.ai to learn more.
The other thing that is interesting about Valentine's Day is that there's a whole bunch of non-romantic things that happen in Valentine's Day. And there's one thing that everybody associates with Valentine's Day that never happened on Valentine's Day. It actually happened on May 5th.
So why is it associated?
So I'll start with, the three truths and two truths and a lie. Producer Dave, you need to help me here.
You have it right.
Okay.
2 truths and a lie.
Two truths and a lie.
Okay. So which of these 3 events did not happen on Valentine's Day?
Okay.
The first is the firebombing of Dresden, which gave birth to one of my favorite books of all times and also was a horrible, horrible part of our history.
Which book?
Slaughterhouse 5. I need to make Ron read it because it discusses humanity in its state and how things. By the way, I think they'll probably need to give a translation of that book as well because, as you know, our kids. Speaking of Valentine's Day, our kids are learning Romeo and Juliet.
They do.
And apparently, in Newton high schools, you learn a translated version of this. It's translated to
From Shakespearean English to
and
to TikTok English.
To TikTok English because apparently nobody speaks English anymore.
Shakespearean.
And Romeo and Juliet is a horrible play. It's really bad.
Yeah,
the only thing
and
that
non-romantic at all.
Exactly. It's the only thing that
Our
matters.
daughter already said that Romeo is a jerk.
Exactly. He's a jerk. The whole thing is not very romantic. The only thing that
Kids
matters.
are shocked how young Juliet is.
Yes.
They're like, it's basically
And
illegal.
And it's the fact that the language is what matters there. But
we completely derailed. So going back.
bombing of Dresden.
Did it happen on Valentine's Day? Okay.
The second thing is the launch of YouTube.
Launch of YouTube.
Yes. And last but not least is the I Love You worm.
I Love You worm. Okay. Tell us about it.
So which one of these three was not on Valentine's Day?
So we want the audience to tell us?
You guess.
You already told me on the way here.
Producer
And
Dave.
you just said it. You actually said it a second ago.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
can guess. The Slaughterhouse 5, the bombing of Dresden, that seems like it must have been, because that would be really random to throw that in. I'll say the I Love You worm was not on Valentine's Day.
You are absolutely right.
Oh, all right.
You are
Dave,
absolutely
Dave,
right.
Dave.
I
And
thought you said it was in May.
it's May 5th.
You said. So,
It's May 5th.
yeah, you killed it.
I
but,
killed it.
It's like telling a joke.
Remember that?
But yeah,
But remember, I'm not funny.
and not good in like quizzes.
Exactly.
But yeah.
The I Love You worm was something really interesting in the history of the internet.
It broke the internet. It was the first thing that actually massively broke the internet. When was it?
So it was May 5th in 2000.
I thought it was in the 90s. That's funny. Like my memory was, but I think I have memories of the ping pong virus of like other stuff. So what was the I Love You?
So the I Love You. So this was one of the first kind of really good, bad email worms because it leveraged VB script. It leveraged the fact that most people don't see a VB script as a VB script. They call it I love you.text as a romantic message that came to somebody. It basically went through your contact list. By that point, everybody had a very, very robust contact list on their Outlook. People used to open, and this is a plug for Gabi, a very good video of how he did explain that why you need to keep your work email and not work email apart. Everybody kept their personal email and the work email as one. So you got the whole organization contact list that went over everybody and emailed everybody.
So it became viral very fast.
Became viral very, very fast. A lot of people had auto executes for a lot of these VBSs because if you remember there was all these cutie videos that used to come up. So it auto ran that. So not everybody needed even to click to get this to run.
And what did it do to your machine once it executed?
First it sent, it replicated.
Yeah.
Second, it started breaking. The damage that was caused to breakage of computers was estimated between $5 to $10 billion. And they needed to put another $10 billion. And that's 2000 money, not 2020 inflation money, to remediate some of those things. And it did kind of crack on hard drives and did kind of at some point do like pop-up messages of I love you and stuff like that. But it was a very harmful malware. It also gave birth. Steve Jobs was really new at Apple at the time. He was back like 2-3 years, and he wanted.
He wasn't new. He was back.
He was back, and he
was there before.
And he used that to leverage the birth of the PCs versus Mac commercials.
The famous commercial when they make fun of viruses and
exactly
a PC catching a virus and sneezing.
Exactly.
And saying that Mac doesn't get viruses.
Exactly.
Is it true?
Of course, it's bullshit. This is something.
It's still a bit. I have to say, whomever is a Mac, enthusiast will tell you, "Oh, I use it because of security. It's so much more secure than a PC."
That is a load of crap. First and foremost, most malware that come today, if I need to write a malware, I write JavaScript. That's the most prevalent, most easy thing to do.
But most 0 days, everybody will say most vulnerabilities are still for Windows. So yeah, you write it, but it will be executed on Windows because this is who they're gonna go after. Is that true?
So I will go back to my favorite topic, which is 80-something% of attacks come from phishing and stupid people.
The user. So it doesn't matter what machine you are, you'll become compromised.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter if you're on the Mac or on Windows or on your cell phone or whatever, you will be phished or scammed and get the executable running, and it will run on your browser.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
And steal cookies. Right now, cookie stealing is the number one easy thing. There's tons of toolkits on the internet. A 12-year-old can do this.
Okay.
I would be surprised if our 12-year-old doesn't. A 13-year-old doesn't.
No, he doesn't. He's a good kid.
I never trust him. This is trivial and easy. By the way, this is part of the Okta report that people need to be aware a lot more, that right now identity matters a lot more than hardening your machine, because there still are 0 days. There's still IOCs.
Oh, of course.
But that's a very targeted, expensive attack versus I run a JavaScript that looks something remotely like your website. It can even share a domain that looks very, very close to it. I click on it, and now I have a whole bunch of cookies. And now I have access to everything that you have automatic access to, which is another part of my pet peeves of long-running sessions. If you are an Okta user, if you have Okta and you do not configure kill long-running sessions, you are waiting for trouble because of these little scripts that do these things. So world has moved on. Thank you, this worm, because that was the first really smart script that did something very similar to what the JavaScript attacks that I'm talking about. The reason that it was so popular for Windows and not for Mac is because it used VBS, which was VB script, which required Windows.
And at the time, Mac was not that prevalent.
Outlook, it used the VB for the Outlook client.
Yep.
So that's kind
and
of...
people were still using Outlook and not Gmail.
Not Gmail, exactly.
Which is another. Cool. Anything else we're covering, or we are good for today?
I think we're good for today for our romantic version of...
romantic is us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are the romantics.
So thank you for listening. Please follow and rate us and share with your friends. If you want to be on the show, please reach out to Didi or to myself on LinkedIn. The Didi and Lital show is sponsored by Hunters and Ort. Thanks for our sponsors. See you soon. Thank you so much. Bye, Didi.
Bye, Lital.